Hello, welcome back to the Smoking Sun channel. In this video, we'll go over the life and crimes of a notorious serial killer that millions of Americans saw on a dating show in the 1970s. But before we get going, please remember to hit the like and subscribe button and notification bell for future video drops. And here we go. Rodney Alcala was born in San Antonio, Texas on August 3, 1943. His full name was Rodrigo Jacques Alcala Bucur, and he was one of 4 siblings. His family moved around a lot, first to Mexico and then to Los Angeles. He had a normal childhood with many friends. After high school, he joined the Army, but he didn't stay for long and left due to a nervous breakdown. He was diagnosed with a disorder called antisocial personality disorder and was discharged from the Army in 1964. Before leaving the Army, he went AWOL, which is absent without leave, and ended up in a hospital. After leaving the Army, he briefly attended California State University and then transferred to UCLA's School of Fine Arts, where he graduated with a degree in Fine Arts in 1968. In 1968, Rodney Alcala committed his first known crime. An 8-year-old girl named Tali Shapiro was walking to school on September 25th when Alcala approached her in a car and offered her a ride. She hesitated, but Alcala claimed to know her parents, so she reluctantly got into the car. Alcala took her to his apartment and then assaulted her. As luck would have it, a passerby noticed Alcala picking up Tali and became suspicious. This person followed them and called the police. When the police arrived at Alcala's apartment, they found Tali in a bad condition, not breathing and covered in blood. They focused on saving her life, allowing Alcala to escape. Using the fake name John Berger, Rodney Alcala fled to New York City after the police found his real identity and school attendance in his apartment. He enrolled at NYU under this alias. Despite the semester being underway, Alcala convinced the admissions chairman to let him join the undergraduate School of the Arts. Although some sources claim that Alcala studied film under Roman Polanski at NYU, this is unlikely because Polanski had already moved to Hollywood in 1968. From 1968 to 1971, Alcala attended NYU and also worked as a security guard to cover his tuition fee. In the summer of 1969, he took on the role of an arts counselor at a summer camp in George Mills, New Hampshire. Alcala impressed the camp director with his skills in filmmaking and photography and was invited to return the next year. Alcala continued to work at George Mills during the summer of 1970. After graduating from NYU in June of 1971, he went back to the camp for a third summer. Sometime before this return, Alcala is believed to have committed the murder of 23-year-old Cornelia Michelle Crelly. However, this case remained unsolved until 2011 when evidence finally linked Alcala to the crime. Between 1969 and 1971, Rodney Alcala was placed on the FBI's most wanted list for assaulting and attempting to murder Tali Shapiro. During the 1970s, background checks were limited, which allowed Alcala to live freely using the alias John Berger or John Berger. By 1971, he started working as a photographer in Manhattan with a focus on young women. During his third summer at George Mills, 2 campers recognized Alcala from the FBI wanted poster displayed at the post office. They informed the camp directors, leading to the FBI's involvement. Alcala was arrested at the camp based on fingerprint evidence and then extradited back to California. However, once Alcala returned to California, he wasn't charged with assault or attempted murder because Tali Shapiro's family didn't allow her to testify against him. Her family had moved to Mexico by then and likely didn't want the trial to cause more trauma for her. Due to the absence of Tali Shapiro, who was the main witness, prosecuting Rodney Alcala for assault and attempted murder proved challenging. Consequently, despite facing charges of rape, kidnapping, assault, and attempted murder, Alcala managed to negotiate a plea deal in May of 1972. He pled guilty to 1 count of child molestation. Alcala received an indeterminate sentence of 1 to 10 years, which allowed for release upon demonstration of rehabilitation. By August 1974, a state prison psychiatrist believed Alcala had shown improvement during his incarceration, leading to his parole. However, just 2 months after his release, Alcala was arrested again for kidnapping a 13-year-old girl in Huntington Beach, California. He was accused of making her use cannabis as well. Although the girl reported being kidnapped, Alcala was only convicted of violating parole and providing drugs to a minor. After spending an additional 2.5 years in prison, Alcala was released on parole once more in June of 1977. His parole required him to regularly check in with his parole officer. After his release from prison, Alcala returned to New York City. His parole officer approved his travel request to visit relatives in the summer of 1977. During this trip, he murdered 23-year-old Ellen Jane Hover, although she likely wasn't his only victim during that time. In June 1977, Hover was reported missing, and her last known association was with a photographer named John Berger. Her remains weren't found for a year, and even though Alcala was questioned about her disappearance, he was released due to the lack of direct evidence linking him to the Hovers case. It wasn't until 2011 that Alcala was indicted for her murder. Upon returning to California, Alcala found employment as a typesetter at the Los Angeles Times. He also resumed his spree of murders. In November 1977, Alcala assaulted and killed 18-year-old Jill Barcombe. Her body was found in the foothills near Hollywood on November 10, 1977. About a month later, in December 1977, Alcala assaulted and murdered 27-year-old Georgia Wixton. He left her body in her apartment, and it was discovered on December 16, 1977. The next year, Alcala participated in the game show The Dating Game on September 13th. He presented himself as a single man looking for love. However, even the contestant Jet Mills sitting next to him felt he was unsettling. Alcala, described as a successful photographer who started at a young age, had a history of child molestation and was a registered sex offender. Despite this, he managed to win the game and charm bachelorette Cheryl Bradshaw. Yet, after the show, Bradshaw found him, quote, creepy during their private conversation and chose not to go on a real date with him. 3 months before his appearance on The Dating Game, the body of 32-year-old Charlotte Lamb was discovered in the laundry room of an apartment complex in El Segundo, California, although her identity wasn't confirmed until September 1978. In February 1979, Alcala kidnapped and assaulted 15-year-old Monique Hoyt, who managed to escape when Alcala went into a gas station bathroom. 4 months later, in June 1979, 12-year-old Robin Samso and her friend Bridget encountered Alcala. He fled when a neighbor approached, but Samso went missing after leaving her friend to attend a dance class. While on her way to work, a firefighter named Dana Croppa saw Alcala dragging Samso into the woods. Strangely, she chose not to report this observation. Samso was declared missing that day, and her friend described Alcala to a sketch artist. The sketch was shown on the news on June 22nd. On June 25th, Croppa revisited the area and found human remains, but didn't report it. By the end of June, Alcala became a person of interest in the case. Detectives compared his previous mugshot with the sketch. On July 2nd, Croppa's colleague, William Popke, discovered the remains and reported to the authorities. The police confirmed the remains were Samso's, leading to Alcala's arrest on July 14th. In jail, one of Alcala's sisters visited him, and during their meeting, police overheard him asking her to clear out the storage locker in Seattle. Police intervened before she could, finding disturbing photos and earrings in the locker. After Robin Samso's mother identified the earrings as her daughter's, Alcala was charged. On April 30th, 1980, Alcala was found guilty of first-degree murder and kidnapping Robin Samso. In the fall of 1980, he was also convicted of assaulting Monique Hoyt. Alcala received a death sentence, but he appealed, and the California Supreme Court agreed, stating that his previous sex crimes had unfairly influenced the jurors. On August 23, 1981, his death penalty was reversed. In 1986, Alcala was retried and found guilty once more for Samso's murder, leading to another death sentence. However, in 2001, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals overturned this conviction as well. In 2010, Alcala faced his third trial for murder of Robin Samso. This time, he was also charged with the murders of Charlotte Lamb, Georgia Wixted, and Jill Barcombe. He was also charged with the murder of Jill Parento, who he killed in 1979, although the case had been dismissed previously. During this trial, Talise Shapiro, now a grown woman in her 50s, testified for the first time. Alcala, representing himself, even apologized to her, which he found deeply disturbing. This apology came at a crucial moment when the jury was deciding between life sentence and the death penalty. Throughout the trial, Alcala didn't contest that he had killed at least 4 women. Instead, he focused on the charges related to robbing Samso. He even questioned himself in the third person, shifting his tone depending on whether he's acting as his own lawyer or as himself. On February 25th in 2010, Alcala was found guilty on 5 counts of murder, 4 counts of rape, and 1 count of kidnapping. Once again, he was sentenced to death, and this time the conviction held. Following his 2010 conviction, the Huntington Police Department released some of the photographs Alcala had taken of people. This was done in the hopes of identifying individuals in the pictures which could potentially lead to more of Alcala's victims. Officials managed to link Alcala to Thornton's murder when the siblings recognized her in his photos. Additionally, investigators discovered that the photograph Alcala had taken was captured close to where her remains were found. While only 8 of Alcala's victims had been officially confirmed, it's believed that he may have murdered over 100 people. Some estimates even suggest the number could be as high as 130. At one point, Alcala himself claimed to have killed at least 30 women. In 2016, Alcala was charged with his 8th murder relating to the 1977 killing of Christine Thornton in Wyoming when she was 28 years old. Despite the decision not to extradite him for trial, the charges remained. In 2011, New York did choose to extradite Alcala, and he pled guilty for the murders of Cornelia Crilly and Ellen Hover. Alcala remained in California holding facility until July 24, 2021, when he died of natural causes at the age of 77. That will do it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell. Stay curious. See you next time.